Okay, Bengali girl. Huh?
No,
You need it?
Hindi. I will tell her later.
Huh?
She needs Hindi. I will tell her later.
You'll
She's
tell her
coming with me
later?
in the
Okay. What about the Bengali?
No Bengali, only one Mataji.
If you are speaking English, there is no need.
No need? You're okay? Okay. Alright, so then. Alright, so this is the birthplace of Krishnadas Kaviraj. Lived here most of his life. He lived here with his brother. And it happened that Krishnadas Kaviraj had great devotion for both Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, but his brother had only faith in Lord Chaitanya, and he had very weak faith in Lord Nityananda. So Krishnadas Kaviraj would often tell his brother that you are like a half a hen. The man who keeps the hens, he thinks the front part is eating food and the back part is laying eggs. So we'll cut off the front part and just keep the back part. So in the same way, Krishnadas Kaviraj's brother was only taking Lord Chaitanya, but he was not accepting Lord Nityananda. So Krishnadas Kaviraj and his brother, they lived here, and every day they were having kirtan. And they had a pujari also. They had a person, a brahmana living there with them who was doing the puja. So it happened one day, a great devotee of Lord Nityananda came here. His name was Miniketana Ramdas. So Miniketana Ramdas was in the mood of the cowherd boys, and he was having a flute with him. So like all the cowherd boys, they have a flute, and he was a very, Miniketana Ramdas was a very jovial person. If people would offer obeisances to him, he would climb on their back. And sometimes he would also smack people's face. He was very, very jovial person. Just like the mood of Lord Nityananda. So, Miniketana Ramdas came here to this house because he heard every day they have kirtan here and they're great devotees. But when Miniketana Ramdas came, Krishnadas Kaviraj honored him. But the brother of Krishnadas Kaviraj did not respect him. So Miniketana Ramdas could understand. He said this is like the second Romaharshan Sutta. Romaharshan Sutta did not respect Lord Balaram. When Lord Balaram came to Naimisharanya, Romaharshan Sutta did not respect Lord Balaram. So Lord Balaram ended up taking kusha grass and piercing the heart of Romaharshan Sutta. So Miniketana Ramdas came here to the home of Krishnadas Kaviraj, and he said, this, as I can see, this is like the second Romaharshan Sutta. Does not have proper respect. So it ended up that the atmosphere was tense. Because Miniketana Ramdas could understand he was not welcomed by the brother of Krishnadas Kaviraj. So it ended up Miniketana Ramdas broke his flute and he left the home, feeling very displeased. So Krishnadas Kaviraj told his brother, this is very bad. This is very inauspicious for you. Nothing good can come. You have offended a great devotee.
Ты оскорбил такого преданного,
But
великого.
Krishnadas Kaviraj
Но, конечно,
just, he didn't know what to do. That night, Krishnadas Kaviraj took rest here in the home. And while he was taking rest, in his sleep, Lord Nityananda appeared to him. And Lord Nityananda appeared to him, along with all of his associates. Lord Nityananda was dressed in blue, and he was also like a cowherd boy. He had his flute, he had his buffalo horn, and all of his associates, they were in a very joyful mood, and they were chanting the holy name and dancing. And then Lord Nityananda came to Krishnadas Kaviraj, and he spoke to him. He said, "Leave this home, get out from here, go to Vrindavan, there you will attain everything." So Krishnadas Kaviraj, he woke up, he took the dream very seriously. Even though it was the middle of the night, he immediately decided, "I have to leave home." He didn't wait for the morning. He didn't even wait for the sun to come up. In the middle of the night, he left the home and he walked to Vrindavan. And he got to Vrindavan, and there he got the shelter of Rupa and Sanatan and Raghunath, and he was able to hear all the glories of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Krishnadas Kaviraj was not a young man at this time. He said maybe he was like nearly 80 years old. He was in old age, but he did not care. He thought, "Yes, I have to leave the home. If the home is unfavorable for the cultivation of Krishna consciousness, then you have to leave. You have to get out from that home." So he thought, "Why should I stay there with that brother of mine? He's guilty of Vaishnav aparad. He's offended a great devotee. And he has no faith in Lord Nityananda." So he went to Vrindavan, and he got the shelter of Rupa and Raghunath. And then he went on to begin his Chaitanya Charitamrita. And we can read in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj describes himself, how he went to the deities and he prayed first to Madan Mohan. Madan Mohan is the deity of Sambandha. And when he offered obeisances to Madan Mohan, the deity offered the garland. And the priest came and gave the garland to Krishnadas Kaviraj. And then he went to the other deities, Radha Govindaji and Gopinath, and he prayed to all of them, and got their blessings, and he began to write the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bande Gurun Isha Bhaktan Ishan Nishavatarakam Taj Prakatam Statat Prati Krishna Chaitanya Samyakam Bande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Sahodito Godo Daye Pushpavanto Chitro Samo Tamo Nudo Yada Dvaitam Brahmo Panishadi Tadapyashya Tanuva Yatmantaryami Parushiti So Shamsha Vibhava Sadaishwari Purnoyaha Bhagavansa Shvayamayam Na Chaitanyat Krishna's Jagati Paratadvam Paramiha. Like this is the beginning, this is the first 3 verses of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Chaitanya Charitamrita was written after the Chaitanya Bhagavat.
Автора.
Chaitanya Bhagavat was written by Vrindavan Das
Читание Бхагавата
Thakur.
было написано Вриндаваном
Some months ago we had gone there to the place where Vrindavan Das Thakur resides. And we saw also the manuscript of the Chaitanya Bhagavat written on palm
Мы
leaves.
ходили в то место, где было
So
написано.
here also they have the manuscript of Krishnadas Kaviraj. Although he wrote it in Vrindavan, somehow they have the manuscript here. Krishnadas Kaviraj lived here many, many years. So Pushpa Samadhi is there. That's the Pushpa Samadhi. Over here, this side, over there. You see that small white with the green top? That's Pushpa Samadhi. His Samadhi is the actual Samadhis in Vrindavan, and that's the Pushpa Samadhi. And at the back here, that's the Bhajan Kutir. Bhajan Kutir, because he did a lot of bhajan here. He was here for many, many years. It was only in his old age. In his old age, he went to Vrindavan. And when you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he's praying that I'm old, it's very difficult for me to write now. I'm just praying, he was just praying that he could complete the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He said he was so old, he couldn't keep his eyes open. He had to put some stick there in his eye to keep the eyelids open. He was so old, he couldn't keep the eyes open. So like that, he was in Vrindavan and he was writing Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Chaitanya Charitamrita is written in Bengali language, but it's very philosophical. More than the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Chaitanya Bhagavat describes the early pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's the early pastimes of Mahaprabhu. But Vrindavan Das Thakur did not describe the later pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Later pastime means after he took sannyas, what he did. Chaitanya Bhagavat mainly talks about before sannyas, his householder life. But Krishnadas Kaviraj, because he'd gone to Vrindavan, so he spent time with Raghunath Das. And Raghunath Das had been living there in Jagannath Puri. So Raghunath Das was he was the servant, he was under the care of Swarup Damodar Goswami. And Swarup Damodar Goswami, he was the secretary of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Krishnadas Kaviraj heard everything about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Swarup Damodar. He heard it from Raghunath Das, because Raghunath Das had lived there in Jagannath Puri with them. And then after Lord Chaitanya left the world, after he completed his pastimes, and Swarup Damodar also completed his pastimes, he left the world, and Gadadhar left the world. Then Raghunath came over to Vrindavan, and he came to Vrindavan thinking he was going to give up his life. But he met Rupa and Sanatan, and they told him, you can't do that, you have to stay in the world. So Raghunath was here in Vrindavan, and Krishnadas also was here. Because every day the Goswamis would come together and they would hear the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Krishnadas Kaviraj was able to write this wonderful book, which is a classic in Bengali literature. Just like we have classics in English and in Chinese and Russian, there's always famous authors. So in Bengali language, The famous author
А
is
вот,
Krishnadas
а вот на
Kaviraj,
Бенгале
as well
лучший
as
автор Кришнадас
Vrindavan
Кавирадж.
Thakur,
Также
Lochadas. They
Вриндаванас Такур,
wrote
Лочан,
these
они написали
books which are
книги,
the jewel, they're jewels
которые
in the
являются
Bengali language.
сокровищем бенгальской
Beautiful,
литературы.
beautiful verses,
Прекрасные
beautiful
широты,
language,
прекрасный язык.
and it's ornamented with many
Это
beautiful
украшено
Sanskrit verses.
много санскритскими
So
шлоками.
Krishnadas Kaviraj, he was a
Krishnadas
great
Kaviraj
scholar, he was a
Был
great
прекрасным
poet,
учителем,
and
ученым, прекрасным
he
поэтом.
wrote this wonderful
И он
book
написал
called
прекрасную
Chaitanya
книгу
Charitamrita.
о читании Чаритамриты.
He wrote other things as well.
Он также
I think
написал и
like
другие книги.
Vrindavan, the glories of Vrindavan, Jai Radhe, Jai Krishna, Jai Vrindavan.
Вот это написал
And that
славу
was also
Вриндавана,
written by
Джая Радхи, Джая
Krishnadas
Кришна, это тоже
Kaviraj.
написано Кришнадасом
So
Кавираджем.
Kaviraj means poet,
Кавирадж это значит поэт,
the great poet.
великий поэт.
So the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita is poet,
Вся читание Чаритамриты, она
but it's
поэтична.
embroidered with so many different
Она
verses
украшена
from the
прекрасными
scriptures, from Srimad
цитатами из Писаний,
Bhagavatam,
из Шримад
and
Бхагавата,
from Mahabharata,
из
Bhagavad
Махабхараты,
Gita,
Бхагавадгиты,
and many other places of many
и
other.
из других книг.
He was very learned, very well-read person.
То есть он был очень
So
ученым,
we're very
очень
much
образованным.
indebted to Krishnadas Kaviraj, and it was Srila Prabhupada who allowed us to know about this wonderful book, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because Srila Prabhupada translated it to English.
Прабхупада перевел ее на английский.
Now there were other books about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There was the Chaitanya Bhagavad, which was the first book, but Prabhupada chose to translate Chaitanya Charitamrita because it's more philosophical, much more philosophical than the Chaitanya Bhagavad. And Prabhupada wanted all of us to understand the philosophy, the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Krishnadas Kaviraj, he was very kind on us that he took the time and he labored in his old age to write such a wonderful book that we can all hear about the wonderful pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Krishnadas Kaviraj, he was very humble also. If you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he has written there, he says, Jagai Madai Haite Munishe Papista, Purushera Kita Haite Munishe Lagista. Right? Jagai Madai Haite. He said, I am more sinful than Jagai and Madai. He said, Purushera Kita Haite Munishe Lagista. I am lower than the worm in the stool. And Prabhupada said, when he writes like that, he's not just putting on a show. He's not just pretending. He actually means it. He's actually very, very humble. And he goes on to say, anybody who hears my name, they'll lose their pious activities. And if anybody chants my name, they'll become sinful. Only the mercy of Lord Nityananda could deliver such a soul as myself. So, Krishnadas Kaviraj describing the humility of the Vaishnava. And he, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he has listed all the 26 qualities of the Vaishnava. He describes them all there. The different qualities which devotee Vaishnava should cultivate. He describes the tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and then the tree of Lord
Там описывается
Nityananda,
древо Чайтаньи
and then all
Махапрабху,
the
Нитьянанды,
descendants from Advaita
все
Acharya. He
последователи
describes the external reason for Mahaprabhu's appearance, and then he describes the confidential reason for his
проявленные и
appearance.
сокровенные причины его.
Because Krishnadas Kaviraj, he's heard all of these things directly from the people who were involved, like Raghunath, who had heard everything from Swarup Damodar. So they just celebrated the disappearance festival of Krishnadas Kaviraj here just a week ago. Just 1 week ago, many devotees all came here. You can see they're taking all the bamboo away. They had a big festival here because the disappearance of Krishnadas Kaviraj, they were celebrating. So many devotees came here to honor Krishnadas Kaviraj. So we are coming a little late, but we say better late than never. We're very lucky that at least once in this lifetime we could come here to this holy place. And
Guru Maharaj often makes this joke in his app. He will tell something, he will scold and say, better late than never. And he will laugh after reading that message.
So we can see the deities here, the Gornitai deities and Radha Madan Mohan. I think they're not his deities, they're not Krishnadas Kaviraj.
Я слышал, что это не божества Кришнадаса Кавираджа.
His deities.
Нет,
The small one.
Говорят, что
The
маленькие
small
божества
Radha
это
Madan
его
Mohan.
божества,
They are the deities worshipped by Krishnadas Kaviraj.
которому поклонялся Кришнадас Кавирадж.
Later on they added the Gornitai deities.
Позже мы увидим божества Гауранита, а потом позже здесь появились.
So we went earlier this morning, we went to that palace.
Перед этим мы приходили.
Of course it's a broken down palace now, it's not in good condition. So the palace was, now it's owned by, there's a queen who owns that palace, she's 93 years old. And Bhakti Swami met her, and Jagataka Swami Maharaj also met her, and they encouraged her that you can give the palace to ISKCON, you can renovate the place, and make it nice, bring it back to its glory, the original glory. Remember, it's like 400 years old. So in the course of time, 400 years, it's a long time. So everything, try to understand the time of Mahaprabhu, 400 or 500 years ago, there were many, many people here. In Calcutta, there was nobody. All these cities like Calcutta and Delhi and they have all come up in the recent time. But all the people, they used to be here in these places. There were many, many people here. There were many villages here, and they were living here in these places because people lived off the land. Everybody lived off the land. Everybody lived by growing rice and having cows and growing some fruit, vegetables.
Фрукты, овощи выращивали.
So there were many, many people in these places. But nowadays, of course, we come here and we see villages, nobody's here, where there's no people and only dogs. We don't see anything. But in the past, there were many. So we want to remember that 400 years ago there was a lot of people here. There was a war. It turned out in the past there was a war at Katwa.
Позднее была война такая.
Katwa, remember Katwa where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas? At Katwa. So there was some kind of war there between the Muslim and the English or something. And so this one man named Nityananda Balal, Nityananda Balal, he helped, somehow he helped the Muslim, the Zamindar, the ruler, he helped him to win the war, to win the battle. And so the Muslim ruler was so pleased, because in the past there were many Hindus, so the Muslims were ruling, the whole place. You know, if you go to Ramakeli, you can see where the Nawab who lived, the Nawab Hussein Shah. The Nawab was the ruler of the whole of Bengal, very powerful. So Rupa and Sanatan were working for him. And similarly also there were many other Hindus, they were also serving under the Muslim rulers, because they were the rulers. So they were helping and they were doing service. So this one, Nityananda Balal, he helped the Muslim man, the Muslim ruler, to win the war. And so he told Nityananda Balal, you can go to my treasury and you take whatever you want. So that was a very nice offer. We like to have that opportunity. So he went to the treasury and he took the documents to get the land there where the palace is. And he took also money as well. And he used the money. He went and took it and he offered his guru. He told his guru, I have all this, I want to give to you. But his guru said, no, I'm a sannyasi. I don't have any need for money or land. I don't need these things. He said, what to do with it? He said, you should use it for Krishna. Use it for the service of the Lord. So in this way he built the temple and put the Radha Madhava and the Astasaki there. So we saw the Astasaki, all brass, all top. Deities, no marble deities, and put the 8 gopis there with Radha Madhava, and began the worship. No, but nowadays you don't let anybody come in. We were very lucky that we could go in there today. They don't let the public go in. For some reason, I don't know, maybe if you let, sometimes like Ulta Danga, you know, we have the place at Ulta Danga, they have to be very careful, they have to keep security guard there, they have to put camera everywhere, because people come to steal things. So sometimes, you know, if you open to the public, you know, everything goes missing, everything just disappears. You have to be very careful. So they keep the temple closed, except for the Brahmins go and do the puja. We were fortunate, we were able to go in today. So there was also of course, Jalangi Maharaji told the pastime about the Ganga having the bracelet. The ladies wear the white bracelet, showing that they're married, right? Right? So Ganga Devi, she wanted to get one white bracelet to put on her wrist, like the other ladies. So she went to market to get a bracelet, but she's no money. So they asked her, how do you know? Do you want a bracelet? Who's going to pay for it? They said, oh, you go to my father Udarandata, right? My father will pay Udarandata. We're going to see next place, we're going to go there, to Udarandata's place. Udarandata was a great devotee, and he was a gold merchant. He was a member of his community. They're called Suvarna Vaniks. Suvarna means gold. And
его
Vanik means the business, you know.
место
The
называлось
business
Суварна
is
Вани. Суварна
selling
это
gold.
золото, Вани это бизнес. То есть он
You know,
занимался бизнесом.
400 or 500 years ago,
500
people
лет
didn't
назад
have cars. People didn't have computers. They didn't
у
spend
людей
their
не было
money
ни
on
машин,
those
ни
things.
компьютеров.
How did they spend the money?
Как же они могли
Gold.
потратить
They
деньги?
buy
Они
gold. They
покупали
have
золото,
jewelry and ornaments.
украшения всякие.
So
ювелирные.
this Udarandatta, he was a well-known. He was very well known in the community.
В обществе.
The Suvarna
И вот
Vaniks,
этот Суварна
they're
Вани,
considered low class because they have all the money.
да.
So people who do all the business, you know, if you're good in business, it means you're good at lying and cheating. Generally, if
Считается,
you're a
что
good
это
businessman, you know, you've got to be
бизнесмены,
able
вот
to
они
lie
все
and
воруют.
cheat. Otherwise, you won't make any money.
Если
So he
без
was, you know, he
воровства вы
was
не
from that
получите никаких
community,
денег. Вот
and,
такое
and he was very
сообщество.
well known.
Оно было очень
Everybody knew
известно.
him. So
Каждый
Ganga
знал о
said,
нем.
I'm the
Ганга
daughter of
сказала, я дочь вот этого Ударана
Udarandatta.
самого,
So,
из этого общества.
oh, no. So they let her go with the bracelet. And so then Udarandatta came. And
И потом
that's
этот
right, he came, right?
Ударандаtta пришел,
And then the man said, your daughter came and took the bracelet.
а ему сказали, твоя дочь
Udarandatta
приходила и
didn't
купила
have any
какой-то
daughter.
браслет. Он сказал, у меня
His
вообще
wife
никакой
died
дочери нет. Почему?
when she was young and did no issue. And so he was saying, my daughter, who's that?
Какая дочь? Что за дочь?
So what happened then?
And then he went to take bath in Ganga, that time Ganga.
И он пришел потом обмываться в Ганге.
He went to take his bath in the Ganga, and when he was taking bath in the
Когда он
Ganga,
принимал
that
омовение,
time the deity of the Ganga rose up with the bracelet on her arm. And
вдруг
you could
вырос
see the
перед ним
bracelet.
божества
She put her arm up in the air
с
with the
поднятыми
bracelet
руками,
on it,
вот с этими браслетами.
showing that she got the bracelet.
Так он
So this was
получил
one of
эти
the
браслеты.
pastimes
Вот
which
это одна
happened
из игр,
here.
которая здесь произошла.
Udarandatta. We're going to
Udarandatta.
see his place.
Мы
Udarandatta
его тоже
was
будем в этом месте.
one of the 12 Gopas. Lord Nityananda
Это место 12
traveled and
Господь
preached
Нитянанда
with the
путешествовал,
Sankirtan
проповедовал.
party. He had
Группой
12 cowherd boys.
12 пастушков.
12 they were from Krishna Lila, and they'd come in the pastimes of Lord
Кришна Лила, они
Chaitanya
пришли в
Mahaprabhu.
игры Господа
So
Чайтаньи
Udarandatta was one of these 12
один из
cowherd
этих
boys.
12 пастушков.
He was a cowherd boy named Subahu.
Он был пастушком по имени
And
Субаху.
so Udarandatta was
И Ударандата
very famous
был очень
in this
знаменит
place, in
в
this
этом месте.
area. Because all the farmers, they were all rich.
Потому
They
что
were, you can see
все
all the rice growing
все
everywhere
крестьяне
here.
были богаты.
The rice means money. They make a lot
Rice
of money.
это
You
выращивание
grow
риса,
rice,
рис это значит
wow, you
деньги.
make a lot of money. And they can grow it maybe
Зарабатывали много денег.
twice a year. So they
Они
make a
успевали
lot of
урожай
money.
дважды
They
в
get a
год.
lot. What do they do with the money?
И что
They
вы будете
get
делать с деньгами?
gold, you know, they buy gold, they
Делать,
get
вы
bread,
будете
what do they
покупать
give it to their
золото,
wives, buy ornaments and rings
будете
and
женам
stuff
своим
for
дарить
the children.
украшения, там, детям,
So Udarandatta,
покупать
he
что-то.
was
И вот Ударандата
big man in the business.
был таким
And
большим
this whole
человеком в
area,
бизнесе.
there were many
Во всем этом
people
районе
who were
было
doing
много
the same
людей, которые
business.
занимались таким же бизнесом.
Later on, they all moved gradually to Calcutta.
Постепенно потом они
Because
все
the
переезжали в
industry came up,
Калькутту, потому что началась
industrialization,
индустриализация,
people started moving to the city.
и люди стали
But they
переселяться в
used to
города.
all be here in this place.
Но они
After some time, they will all
раньше жили
come
вот
back.
в этих городах.
It's just a
Через некоторое
question
время это
of
все
time.
вернется, это
The
вопрос
business
времени.
will all fail,
Безусловно.
the factories will all close,
Все
the petrol will be all
разрушатся,
finished,
все
and
эти
they will
фабрики
gradually
закроются,
all
бензин
come back
закончится, и люди
and
тоже
live
перейдут
on the
постепенно
land.
в сельскую местность. Просто
But just
в
now,
местах.
they're all there in the cities.
Но сейчас это все в городе.
So Udarandatta, he's one of these 12 devotees. He was with Lord Nityananda,
И Господь
and
Нитянанда,
by the influence of Udarandatta, he brought many of these gold merchants. They all became followers of Lord Nityananda.
его брат,
They all became devotees
тоже стал
by the help of
Нитянандой. С
Udarandatta.
помощью
He
Нитянанды
brought them all into Krishna consciousness.
Его брат тоже ему дал сознание Кришны. Джай.
So
Еще одна собака пришла.
you can see
Махараджа
Lord
послушать. Итак,
Nityananda,
вы можете
he
видеть,
used to decorate himself
что
with all
Господь
kinds
Нитянанда
of
украшал
jewels
себя,
and
надевал
ornaments and
украшения,
rings. You know, Lord
браслеты,
because many of his
кольца.
followers, they were the gold
Многие из его
merchants.
последователей,
So
потому
they
что
would give him
были
presents.
золотых дел
They give him
мастера.
a gold ring, they give
Вот
him a
они поэтому делают
bracelet,
золотую
they have
цепь,
ankle
браслеты,
bracelets, they have wrist
на
bracelets.
щиколотке
Everywhere is
браслеты.
covered with all these ornaments.
Все, он весь был в
But the problem
украшениях.
is that also brings the thieves. When you see the
Но также
gold,
воры
then
приносили
it
в
will bring the thief.
украшения. Некоторые золото
Just
приносили
like
воры.
sometimes, I remember in London one
Я
time,
вот
this
помню,
one
однажды
man, one
в Лондоне
Gujarati
был
man,
один
he said, I want to buy
человек в
gold
Гуджарате.
ornaments for the deities.
Говорит, я хочу
He said, I will
покупать.
collect money from all the community, Indian community, we'll buy gold ornaments for the deities.
Мы покупаем
Prabhupada said,
для
no,
божеств в
don't do
индийском
it.
обществе
He said, why
для
not? He
божеств.
said, because
Прабхупада сказал
simply
нет.
people will
Почему?
steal.
Говорит,
You
почему-то
put
люди
gold and
его
jewels and that,
часто
it will
воруют.
just attract thieves.
Потому что
So
золото
the Lord
привлекает
Nityananda hid all the jewels.
воров.
You know.
А Господь Нитянанда
So
видел
one time there
золото.
was a gang of thieves, they all came, they wanted to rob Lord Nityananda.
Однажды у него тоже захотели
But
украсть.
the first time they came,
Ну,
they were
первый раз,
waiting
когда
for the
они
night to
пришли,
come,
проснулись среди
and they
ночи.
said, we'll just lay down, just wait till it gets dark. And by the influence of Maya,
И под влиянием Майи
they fell asleep.
они
And
упали,
they
они
slept the whole
проспали.
night.
И
And they
спали
woke
всю
up the
ночь.
next morning.
Проснулись только на следующее утро.
And then they thought, we missed the whole night. They thought,
Ой, мы
we'll
что-то
go
всю
away
ночь
and come back
проспали.
another time.
Ладно, давайте вернемся туда.
So they waited, and they came back another time a week
Когда они пришли в
later.
другое
And when
время,
they came back, they saw there were all these big guards
что
marching
стоит
around the
такая
camp
стража,
where Lord
здоровые
Nityananda
стражники,
was staying with the devotees.
и на том месте, где Нитянанда со своими преданными.
They were huge,
Такие
and they all
мощные
had tilak on,
стражники,
and they
все
all
в
had big
тилаках,
neck beads on,
с
and they were really
с
strong-looking people.
и выглядели очень
And the gang
сильными
of thieves
стражниками.
came and they looked and they saw them.
И эти воры посмотрели,
How can we ever rob these
сказали, а
people?
как же мы с ними
They
будем
have all these
бороться?
guards will tear us
Столько
apart.
стражи.
We'll never be able to steal anything with them here.
Мы так никогда тут ничего не
So they
увидим.
went away. They said, we'll come
Они
back
ушли.
after some time.
Сказали, ладно, мы вернемся через
So
какое-то
after
время.
I waited
Через
for more
какое-то
time.
время
They came back again.
они
After
вернулись
some
снова.
days, they came back. And they saw that the guards have gone.
Они увидели
They said,
опять,
okay, now is a good time. Let's get in there.
что
And
стражники
they were
ушли,
each
они говорят,
planning.
хорошо, давайте
I
все
want to get
сделаем.
his earrings.
Своруем.
I'm going to get his bracelets. I'm going to get his necklace.
Они
They
сказали,
were each
хорошо, я вот
planning what they're
возьму
going
это
to, how they're
браслет,
going to
ты
rob the
возьмешь
jewels
ожерелье,
from
ты
Lord
возьмешь другие
Nityananda.
украшения Господа Нитянанды, распределили.
But just as they were going towards the house, suddenly the sky became very black.
Но
A
когда они
big,
только вошли
huge
туда,
black
сразу стало
cloud,
моментально очень
thunder and
темно,
lightning,
появилась
and
какая-то
then
туча
from the sky
черная, и
there
тут
was
с
big
неба
hailstones like
пошел
rocks.
жуткий град,
They were
как
falling from the sky.
с
Very
булыжники,
cold, big
очень
lumps of ice were
холодные, прям
falling
куски
from the
льда прям
sky.
здоровые падали.
And it went so
Буря
dark they couldn't
началась,
see where
было
they were
страшно
going.
темно.
And the thieves, they ended
Эти
up, they
воры
fell in the big pit for the garbage.
залезли в какую-то
You know, here they don't have
яму
garbage
мусорную, и
collection.
вот в этой мусорной яме
They
там
don't have any
прятались.
truck coming around to collect the garbage. They would just build a pit and everything would go in the pit. So they fell in that pit where all the garbage was. And there were snakes and scorpions
Там
in there.
змеи были,
They got
скорпионы.
bitten by snakes and scorpions. And the bones were broken. They were suffering like anything. They were
Всем они очень
crying,
страдали.
what happened? What went
Они
wrong?
сказали, что с тобой случилось-то
So
вообще?
after this happened,
Что не
the
так?
leader
После того, как это
of
случилось,
the
их вождь
thieves,
сказал,
he
этих воров,
understood that
Он
this
понял,
Lord Nityananda,
что Господь
he's a
Нитянанда
very great soul.
это какая-то
That
очень великая
his man, he's
душа.
got some kind of power that he could do all
Просто у него
this.
какая-то такая сила есть.
So the leader of the thieves, he
И
came
вождь
there
этих
and he
воров сказал,
surrendered to Lord
нам надо
Nityananda.
предаться ему. И он
And he
предался
told
ему.
Lord
Он
Nityananda
сказал
how he
Господу,
said, you know, we were planning to
мы
rob
хотели тебя
you,
обокрасть.
but we understood now we cannot,
Но
it's
мы поняли,
impossible
что мы
that
вообще
you're
не можем сделать это
protecting.
невозможно, потому что у тебя какая-то защита
So Lord
есть.
Nityananda blessed
Господь
the thief,
Нитянанда
he accepted
благословил
them,
этих воров,
accepted the head
принял
of
их,
the thieves as his disciple, and he
принял как своих
told, now you
учеников.
go and preach to the other
Сказал,
thieves.
вы теперь должны
And
идти
make them
другим ворам
also
проповедовать.
devotees.
Вот.
So Lord
Проповедуйте
Nityananda,
другим
so he
ворюгам.
did that. That thief went and he preached to all the
И
other
вот они
thieves.
разошлись
And
по
then
всем
this way
этим
Lord
своим ворюгам,
Nityananda
другим,
brought
начали
so many
проповедовать
people to Krishna
и
consciousness.
привели много людей в сознание
And Lord
Кришны.
Nityananda would bring everyone
Господь
to
Нитянанда
Lord Chaitanya.
их привел тогда
Lord,
Господу Чайтанья.
Lord Nityananda would not, and he would bring them to Chaitanya
Господь
Mahaprabhu.
Нитянанда
He
приводит
get them
преданных
all to
Чайтанье
surrender
Махапрабху.
to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Они,
And
когда они
become his
предаются Шри
devotees.
Чайтанье Махапрабху.
So that's some of the pastimes, yeah?
Вот это одна из игр, которые здесь были.
Okay, are there any questions?
Да, какие-то вопросы есть?
Yes?
Я слышала, что нам нельзя имитировать великих преданных.
Krishna Kaviraj has this
Вот
dream
Кришна Кавирадж,
where he's supposed to move somewhere else where he's not living with someone who discouraged him. Can we imitate that? Like, should we move somewhere else from where we were having close relations with people who not really flourishing your Krishna devotion?
ну можем ли мы таких преданных имитировать? Вопрос.
Well, I said, if the home is not conducive to cultivating Krishna consciousness,
Сказал,
then better to leave. So Krishnadas Kaviraj knew that his
Krishnadas
brother
Kaviraj знал,
had
что его
no
брат
faith in Lord
не имеет
Nityananda.
веры в Господа Нитянанду.
And he'd seen how his brother had been offensive to
И
the
он знал, что
devotee
его
who
брат
was
совершил
coming from
оскорбление по
Lord
отношению к
Nityananda.
преданному.
So Krishnadas Kaviraj
Krishnadas Kaviraj,
decided, especially after the dream was so vivid
он
and
увидел
so
особенно вот
real,
этот сон,
he
и сон был таким
understood
реальным, и он
that
понял,
this is the instruction of the
что
Lord.
это
I have
наставление
to
от
follow.
Господа, и он должен
Just
был
like
ему
Prabhupada
последовать.
also Prabhupada got dreams. His Guru Maharaj came to him,
Также
told him to take
Прабхупада
sannyas.
тоже увидел такой сон, что
Didn't want to
ему
do it. Then he
Гуру
got the
Махарадж
dream
велел
again,
принять саньясу. То
and
есть
then again,
не надо так
then he
делать.
understood, okay, I have to.
Если у вас с вами такое
He
случится,
didn't
ну тогда
want
вы
to do
можете так
it, but
сделать.
he understood he had to do it.
Если
That
вы
his
поймете,
Guru
то вы
Maharaj
можете
was
это
ordering
сделать.
him,
Если им приказал и Гуру Махарадж, поэтому они так сделали.
telling him, you have to do it. You have to take
Скажите им,
sannyas. You
что
have
вы
to.
должны так сделать, принять саньясу.
How did Krishnadas Kaviraj go from here to Vrindavan?
He walked. How do you go in those days, 500 years ago? How do you go? You
Сколько он
walk.
туда шел? Как он туда
Mahaprabhu
шел?
walked
Махарадж
everywhere
говорит, пешком.
around
Кришнадас Кавирадж
India.
Госвами, как шел в
He
Вриндаван?
walked
Пешком.
everywhere. They would walk
Гуру
every
Махарадж
year
говорит, они
from
везде
Mayapur to
ходили пешком,
Jagannath-puri.
каждый год ходили в
They
Джаганнатхапури из Майяпура.
Except when you have to cross the river, you go in the boat.
Вот, и только через реки они
But
переплывали,
they
а так они везде пешком шли.
No question, there's no other way.
Это был вообще не вопрос, другого способа не было.
A bullock cart,
Никаких машин не было.
maybe possible, but usually they would all walk.
Обычно
People were
они
used to walking in those
все,
days.
люди
We're lazy.
должны, а мы не можем ходить, мы лентяи.
We see it the parikrama.
Да, мы вот видим это на парикраме,
People cannot walk.
что люди вообще не
So
могут
many
ходить.
rickshaws, they get a lot of business. At
Вот для рикш такой бизнес тут в эти дни.
But in the times of Mahaprabhu,
Во время
they
Махапрабху
walked.
все ходили
Walked
пешком,
everywhere.
повсюду.
Didn't think about it.
Они вообще про это не думали.
Krishnadas Gosvami ran away from home. He
Рагунатас
walked.
Госвами тоже ушел из дома, в Джаганатхапури тоже пешком пошел.
Mahaprabhu went to
Махапрабху
Vrindavan.
пошел
How
во
did he
Вриндаван.
go?
Как он
From
шел?
Puri to Vrindavan. He
Из Пури
walked.
во Вриндаван тоже
He
пешком
walked
шел.
to South India, all around South India.
Южную
And
Индию
then
тоже
up
обошел
again,
пешком.
the other side, up on the other coast. He came up to Pandalpur and all these places.
Пандапури, другие места.
So, yeah. They didn't think about it.
Ну, они вообще про это не думали. Ну и что так далеко?
No. Oh. Walking. You go to Chardam. Nowadays people go to Himalayas.
Но
Go to
сейчас
Gangotri,
люди тоже ходят на
Kedarnath,
Гималаи,
Badrinath,
поднимаются в Бадринат,
Yamunotri.
вот во все
These
эти места.
places, the 4 dams in the Himalayas. How do they go?
А как они туда идут?
Car.
На машинах едут.
And then one point where there's no car, oh well, helicopter is there.
Да, вот, а там, где нет машин, они
Helicopter.
там на дирижаблях этих вот летают.
But how did people go in the past?
А как люди в прошлом передвигались? Они просто ходили и все пешком.
Yes.
Some more.
No.
But for the common people who doesn't have like dreams telling them what to do.
Ну вот обычные люди могут видеть такие сны,
For the
Didn't
common
have a
people,
dream.
yeah, telling them what to do. Can we
Yeah.
just also
которым
like
их
does it
могут
also
сказать, что
apply
поступать.
that when a house or a place or something is not conducive, you just leave? That's the same.
По
Well,
поводу
you
того,
have
что
to
вы
be
можете покинуть свой
guided
дом.
by,
Махарадж говорит, вы должны быть
Саду,
под
Шастра и
руководством Саду, Шастра и
you
Гуру.
have to consult the senior
Вы должны
Vaishnava.
посоветоваться со старшими
What do they
вайшнавами, что они думают про это.
Now, if you're a young woman,
Если вы молодая
not
женщина,
recommended.
то это вообще не рекомендуется.
Young women, they shouldn't try to do anything.
Молодые женщины не должны даже пытаться так делать,
But
поскольку
men,
мужчины,
especially older men,
особенно старые,
they're very good.
это очень хорошо.
But a woman,
Но женщины, для женщин другое дело.
women have to be protected.
Женщины должны быть защищены.
They should be protected. Yes, Prabhu.
Maharaj, in ISKCON we are focusing on Chaitanya Charitamrita. So is it necessary for us to also read Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Bhagavat?
Yes, it's also necessary to read Chaitanya Bhagavat.
Спрашивать, надо ли
And
читать
you'll see
читание
there are
Бхагавата.
many
Махарадж говорит,
purports
да.
where Prabhupada
Там, правда,
refers.
к ней нет
You'll see
никаких комментариев.
this incident is described very briefly in the Chaitanya
Но
Charitamrita,
Прабхупада
but
говорит,
it's
это
described
описано
in
все
more detail in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. And we
кратко
will be
описано в
told
читании
which
Чаритамрити
section
что-то,
of the
а подробно в
Chaitanya
читании
Bhagavat,
Бхагавате.
in
Поэтому
which
вам надо
chapter is it
читать читание
described in.
Бхагавата.
So yes, we should read the Chaitanya Bhagavat, even though Prabhupada didn't have time to translate it, but
Прабхупада
he expects
перевел
us to be familiar
читание
and to know these
Чаритамриту, но он
things.
был очень хорошо был знаком с
Yes.
этими вещами. Guru Maharaj, we have translation on Russian by Chaitanya Bhagavata, but this is translation by Madh people. Can we read it?
Translation by Gaudiya Math.
Yes, by Gaudiya Math, on Russian translation, without purports, only translation. Can we read it?
Yes.
Да, то есть вопрос, я спросила, у нас есть перевод читания Бхагавата, но только ее Гаудия Мат перевел, можем ли мы читать? Махарадж сказал, что да.
You can also, in the future, hopefully, you get your own translation done by somebody in our online. You have to be able to discriminate. Sometimes they may say something which is not relevant to devotees in ISKCON. So you have to be careful.
Ну, иногда могут быть там какие-то вещи такие дискриминационные по отношению к преданным ISKCON, поэтому надо осторожно читать все-таки.
You talked about. Nityananda Prabhu is referred to as the front half of the chicken. So is there any significance to that?
Is there any significance to that?
Что это значит?
Well, that example is given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. The point is, you have to have both the Lords, the two Lords, Chaitanya
Он
and
спросил про
Nityananda.
как половинка
Nityananda
цыпленка. Есть
is
пример
like
такой.
the spiritual master. He's the
Махарадж
original
говорит, да, это пример такой, там
personality
приводится.
of Servitor Godhead.
Господь Нитянанда,
And
это
he's
духовный
non-different
учитель,
from Lord Balaram,
он не отличен от
the
Господа
original
Баларама.
spiritual
Это
master.
изначальный духовный учитель.
So to come to the spirit, to come to Krishna, we have to go through the spiritual master.
То есть вы можете
There has
прийти
to
к
be a
Кришне,
spiritual master to connect us to Krishna.
духовному учителю.
We don't go to
Можете
Krishna
прийти к Кришне только через
directly.
духовного учителя.
The same way you cannot just simply worship Lord Chaitanya without
Можете
going
поклоняться
to
Господу
Lord
Чайтанье.
Nityananda.
Тогда вы можете
Lord Nityananda is the
обратиться к
one
Господу
to
Нитянанде.
recommend, to
Господь
introduce
Нитянанда – это тот, кто рекомендует
to
вас
Lord Chaitanya.
Господу Чайтанье.
So the significance
То есть
is
смысл
that just as the front part of the hand and the back part of the hand are
– это
inseparable,
так же, как две руки.
so you cannot separate Chaitanya and
Также вы
Nityananda.
можете разделить Чайтанью и Нитянанду.
That is the main point.
Вот что
That
самое
they go
главное.
together.
Они всегда вместе.
We don't just simply worship Krishna.
Мы
We
можем
worship
просто поклоняться
Krishna along
Кришне.
with his
Мы
potency.
поклоняемся Кришне
Шримати
по
Радхарани.
дозволению его энергии Шримати Радхарани.
And similarly, we have,
Ну, конечно,
we want to approach Lord Chaitanya.
мы хотим
Prabhupada said,
достигнуть
how
Господа
can we
Чайтаньи.
approach
Прабхупада
Lord
говорил, как мы можем
Chaitanya?
достичь Господа
We have
Чайтаньи?
to go through Lord
Мы можем к
Nityananda.
нему прийти только через Господа
And how can
Нитянанду.
we get the mercy of
И
Lord
как мы можем получить
Nityananda?
милость Господа
We have to
Нитянанды?
engage
Мы
in the activities
должны
of
вовлечься
Lord Nityananda,
деятельность
delivering
Господа
Jagai and
Нитянанду,
Madhai. Lord
наслаждение
Nityananda is
Джагая и
famous for
Мадхая.
delivering Jagai and
Господь
Madhai.
Нитянанда известен как
So if we
освободитель
also
Джагая и
preach to
Мадхая.
the
И мы
Jagai
тоже
and
должны
Madhai,
проповедовать Джагаем и
then you'll
Мадхаем.
become a dear servant of Lord Nityananda.
И чтобы они стали дорогими слугами Господа
Then by the
Нитянанды.
mercy of Lord Nityananda,
Только по
you
милости
can get
Господа
the
Нитянанды
mercy
вы
of
можете
Lord
получить
Chaitanya.
милость Господа Чайтаньи.
感谢部长。有一个问题就是，有的家里人崇拜神像，那就是有的他们的神像只有Krishna，那这样是可以的吗？
In some people's house,
Некоторые
they
люди
only worship the deity
только
of
поклоняются
Krishna.
божеству
Is that
Кришне.
acceptable?
Это можно?
Well, we do have, like if you go to
Например, если вы
Белпакур,
пойдете в Белпакур,
in Belpakur
в
you see the
Белпакуре вы
deity
увидите
of
божество
Madan Gopal.
Madan
Мадан
Gopal.
Гопал.
It's a deity of
Это
the
божество
father of Sachimata.
отца
His name
Шатимата.
what was his name again?
Ниламбар Чакрабарти.
Nilambar
Ниламбарка
Chakravarti.
Чакраварти.
Nilambar Chakravarti. So the deity is in Madan Gopal. Just
Вот это его божества. Это
so
Кришна.
they've not added a Radharani there. But
Он без Радхарани.
after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared,
Но после
and
появления
he
Господа
taught
Чайтаньи
about
Махапрабху,
how Krishna is actually with his potency,
Кришна теперь
Radharani,
только со своей
then
энергией
often the
Радхарани.
wife of Lord
Они говорили об этом.
Nityananda,
И вот
Janava,
жена Господа Нитянанды,
Janavamata, she would
Джахнавимата,
add the deity of Radharani beside the deity of
у
Krishna.
нее было одно божество Радхарани.
So somebody is worshipping Krishna. What Krishna are they
Некоторые
worshipping?
поклоняются
Are they
Кришне. Какому
worshipping
Кришне
Bala
они
Gopal
поклоняются?
Krishna?
Это
the
Бала
young
Гопал,
baby with the
маленький
mother?
ребеночек Кришна.
Big one. So usually, usually we worship
Мы
Radha and
поклоняемся
Krishna.
Радхе и Кришне.
We don't usually just worship Krishna
Мы не
on
можем
his own.
поклоняться Кришне
Because
одному.
Prabhupada said
Потому
Krishna
что
is
Кришна
never
говорил,
on his
что
own.
Кришна
Krishna is
никогда
always
не
with his
один, Кришна всегда
potency.
со своими энергиями.
So the form of Radharani
Поэтому,
represents his potency, his
следуя
pleasure
Радхарани,
potency. So it's more
Радхарани представляет его
acceptable to have
энергию.
Radha
То
and
есть
Krishna than simply Krishna.
более приемлемо поклоняться Радхе и Кришне, чем
Everybody
одному
has their
Кришне.
own
Однако
will.
у каждого свое желание может быть.
Just like pictures of Krishna, Prabhupada saw the picture of Krishna and it was just some effulgence coming out of the face, around
У него
the face.
исходит
He said
сияние.
this is the
Он
Mayavadi
говорит, это Майявади.
presentation of Krishna.
Это
We
Майявади
just have
представляет
Krishna. He
Кришну.
said we should have Krishna along with his potency.
То есть мы Кришну видим среди его энергии.
Krishna and Balaram, Krishna and Radharani, Krishna and Mother
Кришна, Мама
Yashoda.
Яшода,
We don't, or Krishna with the cows.
Кришна с
We
коровками.
don't just have Krishna.
Не просто один Кришна.
It's better.
Это лучше.
Yes, ma'am.
Maharaj, in this tour,
В этом
organizer,
путешествии,
they have created a
которое был
WhatsApp
организован,
group. Whatever lectures and proposals are given, they can be posted on that WhatsApp group. No, you will get a copy.
You will do it. We are going to do it.
Yeah, because all these deities and all, later on if we try to remember all this, we won't get anything.
Yeah, so we'll be posting it.
We'll be posting that, right? This Maharaj Pravachans and
We are taking
everything.
Можно ли эти
Another
божества
question. By accident, if
отправить в чат?
someone offends
Вроде
Lord
можно.
Nityananda or spiritual master, it might happen because our heads are screwed up actually. At any point of time, we can do offense. How to get over that?
Well, every day we offer
Каждый день
obeisances
мы
to the
приносим свои
Vaishnavas.
поклоны
By
Вайшнавам.
offering our obeisances to the Vaishnavas, that will
Мы
nullify
поклоняемся
all
Вайшнавам.
our offenses. We don't intentionally
Просим
make, we
прощения
may
за
commit
свои
some offense
оскорбления. То
unintentionally.
есть у нас есть
But every day
намерение
we
избегать
come
оскорблений.
together,
Каждый
we
день мы
offer our
приходим вместе
obeisances,
и
and in this
приносим
way
наши
we get forgiveness.
поклоны.
You can also get forgiveness by reciting a chapter of the Bhagavad
Также вы
Gita.
можете получить прощение, воспевая главы Бхагавад-гиты. То есть есть разные пути для того, чтобы как-то искупить оскорбления.
Some people worship Tulsi,
Некоторые люди
circumambulate Tulsi
поклоняются Тулси.
108 times. Different
В то же
ways to
время,
get rid of.
то есть есть разные пути, чтобы избежать этого.
But just simply by doing devotional service,
Ну, можно и
you
просто
can
совершая
nullify
преданное
your
служение. Так тоже вы можете
Sometimes we
сделать.
don't even realize that was an offense.
Well,
Когда мы
that's
можем
right.
понять, что
Yeah,
мы
because
совершили
we don't.
оскорбление, да,
After
конечно.
1 month or even if after 1
И
year, I
вот через
realize
месяц,
okay,
через
that
год только
incident what I
понимаю,
did,
что вот
that
этот
was supposed to
инцидент
be an offense, that's what I am realizing now.
такое случилось, и что я должна была как-то это искупить,
As a
но уже
reactive
прошло
way,
время.
that's the kind of a reactive response at that point of time.
Я могу
Later
какое-то
on,
как-то
we
уважение
think that
выразить
okay,
через
I
по
should have
прошествии
presented
времени.
in a different way, but that was not possible in that heat of the moment.
В тот момент это сразу было невозможно сделать, а можно
Okay.
сделать через какое-то
No
время.
problem.
Махарадж говорит, да, конечно, нет
Big
проблем.
offense. Quickly you get relief from these things by devotional
Лучше,
service. Just
самое
simply
быстрое
by
это через
engaging in
преданное
that
служение.
you're protected. You
Тогда
didn't
вы
do it
будете защищены.
intentionally, but it won't destroy your devotional service.
То есть вы не хотите разрушить ваше преданное служение.
You want to keep that humble mood,
Вы
always
должны быть в смиренном
beg
состоянии.
forgiveness if I've committed any
Вы
offense.
должны простить это все.
Maharaj, may I ask one more question related to offense?
Могу я спросить
Ну,
еще
давай.
каких-то двух оскорблений?
There are sometimes just in order to avoid offense, we actually restrain ourselves to put forward the right thing.
Вот на Foodful Life
Meaning some right questions to be asked that we don't do, fearing that that kind of blunt question or that kind of seeking that blunt information might offend the senior devotee. But we could see that's not the right way. I will give you a very silly example. Long time ago, maybe several years ago, there was a senior devotee. So certain transactions were going on and I asked for a receipt. So he said, do you need a receipt? My internal thought was, and why he is not giving me a receipt? I need a receipt. But just somehow I made it and I okay, leave it. But later I thought I should have forced him to give me the receipt. But that kind. So this occurs. There are many instances like that. So how to deal with that kind of situation? Till date, I think I should have actually presented in a polite way. Now, if I want to do these transactions, I need a receipt. But that time I thought, okay, no, leave it. I said like that, but my internal thought was not like that. I thought that okay, he should be giving me receipt, but he is not giving it. I don't want to, kind of be impolite to him. Just to maintain the politeness, I agreed outwardly, but not inwardly.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're giving something, you want a receipt, you have a right to ask.
Ну, вы можете отдать то, что вы получили.
Different kinds of interactions like that, where Like we just avoid one confrontation or try to be polite and try to avoid the situation, don't bring up the problem on the surface actually. Specifically this happens in spiritual community. In the non-spiritual community we bluntly say this is what I need and you need to give me. But here we kind of restrain ourselves little bit. Okay, who will offend? I don't know what is his position. Better let me keep silent. Let it get surface up. But that creates a lot of internal pressure, you know. It kind of gets into the head, and I said, okay, these people are not being right. I'm just kind of adjusting myself to their way of living, but I'm not agreeing with them. Internal disrespect.
Well, we learn from these things. You know, if somebody doesn't want to give receipt, then you don't want to give them a donation again.
Кто-то получает пожертвования, кто-то их отдает.
That suits me.
They found the manuscript, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the original Chaitanya.
Рукопись читания Чаритамриты.
So try to give some donations also to help.
Старайтесь тоже дать небольшое пожертвование в храм.